Welcome back. Now, it is estimated that South Africa has nearly 2 million informal businesses. And according to Stats SA, most of these businesses are run without a business license or permit. The state, however, plans to cut costs and red tape associated with business licensing to unlock the potential of small businesses. What could this move mean for the township economy, which is valued at over 900 million rand and is home to most informal businesses? Bulelani Balabala, founder of the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance, joins us with his take. Bulelani, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. And right at the top, let's maybe start with your reaction to the move.
No, man, thank you so much for having me on the platform this afternoon. I think for me, my immediate reaction is I'm very happy with it, because what it then does is that it allows, I think just through that policy change, it allows for more activity, right, on the ground.
Yeah.
But also equally for me, I think part of the reason why we have this was we've always advocated for that. We've never said we don't want compliance or regulation. We've often said, can the regulation be manageable to different scales of growth within the business, so that you are able to then allow for more activity, especially economic activity. So this then allows for that. So I think the biggest thing that we are now eagerly anticipating is to understand how are they going to enact it, what are going to be the ways of now they're managing the compliance within the industry, so that they don't toss it out completely, because that level of management also then becomes important, because compliance helps, in management and scaling the business.
And that was going to be my next question, whether you see any challenges or drawbacks to this policy. I can imagine aligning, that process of from a national, provincial to municipal level might prove to be tough. Probably some sort of criteria will have to be put in place.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, some sort of criteria definitely needs to be put in place. It definitely can't be a free-for-all. Because I think if it becomes a free-for-all, then it further exacerbates the individuals that have already been excluded, or rather who already feel that they're excluded by how things have unfolded. I think that becomes important. I think on the other side, for me, it needs to then talk to how does laxing this policy put us in a position where we are still able to empower and impact these unemployed individuals, young people, but also most importantly, these plethora of over 1.8 to 3 million, according to FinFi's report, these 3 million informal businesses that are across the country, so that they're able to then build and find more traction as they navigate and as they maneuver. So I think the big thing for me around this is to say, if we want them to really scale and grow, and the lacking of those policies that they found ways to work in the absence, or rather even in the presence of, we then need to then find ways of getting them to do business with big business and big business doing business directly with them.
Yeah. And I think implementation here really is the name of the game, and whether we can get that right. And I wonder if we have enough capacity and the correct systems in place. I'm just reflecting on what we saw when it came to, the registration drive we had for spaza shops, where there were a lot of administrative issues with the CIPC being overwhelmed by applications.
Oh, definitely. I think at the end of the day, it's like I've always said, you look across the board, whether it's national, provincial, or municipal level. I mean, local economic development departments have got great programs. The biggest disparity is communicating them to the people, and on the other side, it's the shorthand that they have in delivery. So I think that the biggest catalyst is going to be plugging into the correct and the right intermediaries that are going to help them execute and deliver what their KPIs are of this particular program and particular mandate. It becomes important, because I think the biggest falling out of the spaza shop has really been the time frames were illogical to the environment, to the size of the environment, to the capacity at downward in the various departments. So I think also then equally with this, removing the compliance needs to be a measured approach to then say you can't just remove them without bringing the teams along, but also the criteria for nationality that can participate in this lack needs to be important, so that we do not further exclude in South Africans or people from the mainstream, not necessarily mainstream through these policies that we're thinking of to enable and open up this environment for trade.
And just your reading on the regulatory environment at large, Bulelani, is it conducive for growth and for entrepreneurs to thrive in?
I mean, I just think a couple of things, right? Take the regulation in, take the minimum compliance required for you to run a business. I mean, that cost is no less than to run the business compliance and also legitimately. I mean, that cost is no less than 30,000 Rand a year. And in certain industries that are regulated by their own industry bodies, the amount might be a little bit more because you need your own individualized licensing to run within that particular business. So this is before you make any amount of money at all.
Yeah.
So I think for me, sort of then look at that, they are not conducive at all. Because when you then look at, number one, the special zoning of townships in themselves, we mean the simple thing. That majority, I think our data says that 90% of the 80,000 businesses that we work with operate from home, operate from a township area somewhere. Ordinarily, according to that small piece of legislation or that piece of policy within that municipality, it automatically means that that business owner in and of themselves are thrown out because they can't, because of the special zoning, they can't operate from that space in and of itself. So we then need to be able to adapt the environment so that we're able to bring people along for the journey.
And it seems like there's some sort of disconnect here when we think of these small businesses and regulators. Just from your interactions with small business owners, with young entrepreneurs, do they feel like they are being provided with the support that they want, the support that they need?
No, I definitely don't think that they are. And I think in our conversations with some of them, they're definitely not being supported as well as they potentially could have. Because I think the biggest challenge I think that we picked out, talking to policymakers, talking to people that have been given mandates, I think from a government perspective to actually support these entrepreneurs is that the singular thinking is that we need to find ways of giving them money. But you find that you don't give them money if the policy favors my trade.
Yeah.
So we then need to then back down to say, what policies need to be in place, depending on the economic activity of that particular province and area. Because when we understand the value chain, we understand that the economic drivers for each and every province won't be the same and they will be different. How then do we then help stimulate the activity of the ones who are in, and then over and above that also then stimulate entrance and enable easy entrance to the ones who are in, but then have a rigorous management so that we then don't then develop businesses that are operating in a free-for-all mindset. They also need to be able to still compete, but also compete and deliver value for the customer.
Clearly, a lot of conversations and engagement still have to happen between all these stakeholders so we can really unlock the potential of the township economy. Bulelani, thanks so much for your time and sharing your insights this afternoon. That was Bulelani Balabala, founder of the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance.